Hello and welcome. I'm Anthony from strongmencoaching.com. And hey, your time is valuable. Let's get right into it. I have been working with men for close to 7.5, almost 8 years, actually. And one of the things that I've noticed is that there is this lack of self esteem in men. And oftentimes, what happens is there is this overthinking that happens in daily life, the things that we deal with on a daily basis, relationships, finances, everything that you can think of. Um, when one has low self-esteem, it impacts every area. And so what happens is that men are frustrated, first off, right? Very frustrated, and they try a number of different things in order to improve their life. But what happens is if you don't have, self-worth, feelings of self-worth, self-esteem, it impacts everything. So what I've been doing is utilizing Chat GPT and in these videos lately, and because I want you to be able to utilize first off Chat GPT in a good way to help you get the support, or not the support, because Chat GPT is definitely not going to provide any sort of support, but information that can help you. So let's get right into it. So first off, right, I'm using a paid version, and there are a number of different options that you can have if you have the paid option. I don't know what's available in the non-pay or in the free option, but here's what the free or what the paid model gives you: access to all these different things, right? These different models. So to make things, available for everyone, no matter if you're using the paid version or not, let's just go with this one here. Since I have the paid version, and if I was doing that, and if you have access to the paid version, I would go with the O1 for at this time of recording this video. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and use this first one. Now, what I'd like to share with you first off is there's this idea that for men, it's all about building confidence. And because, right, we all want to be confident, and we rightly so. But what's the difference between confidence and self-esteem? Right? If you have self-esteem, do you have confidence? If you have confidence, do you have self-esteem? So let's see what comes up here. So what I'm going to do is, now this is me just going in and utilizing this model and asking a basic question just as an overall information. Okay. What I often encourage you to do, or what I would encourage you to do, is give ChatGPT a persona. Have it act a certain way. Of all the information that ChatGPT has accessed, right, there are things have gotten organized in a way, right? And it continues to grow and get better and better. But when it comes to just going into ChatGPT and just typing in something, it's really just going to use every bit of information that it has obtained. Okay. Now, for an advanced way of doing things is really to give it a persona that will get information that pertains around that type of persona. And what do I mean by that? Well, oftentimes men who have a lack of confidence, oftentimes we're not even talking about self-esteem these days, which I really think we should be. So what happens is, what do they do? Oftentimes right now in times today, therapy, right? Therapy. And I've helped hundreds of men and have spoken to thousands of men, and oftentimes they have tried therapy. And nothing wrong necessarily with therapy, right? I think definitely can be helpful. But when it comes to you, or it comes to your situation and us just figuring out, right, this whole thing about self-esteem and confidence, because it's something that we really ought to know the difference between. So what I want to say, or what I want to put in here is, I want you to act as a, let's see, professional psychologist that specializes specializes in in self specializes in, let's go, self-esteem and personal development. Right? Give it something, not just going in chat GPT and just typing away. I want to, as best as possible, I want to get some information from perhaps a psychologist who specializes, I should say who, I knew that before I even looked at it, who specializes in self-esteem and personal development. And it could be especially particular, I'll just say for this situation, especially for men, right? So what I'm doing is, as best as possible, rather than just going in and typing a certain question, I'm going to give ChatGPT a persona. I want you to act as a professional psychologist who specializes in self-esteem and personal development, especially for men. You have extensive knowledge, experience, and education in understanding the underlying reasons why men struggle with low self-esteem. All right. In addition, okay, so right, okay, so here I'm giving it some information, right? I want you have extensive knowledge, experience, and education in understanding the underlying reasons why men struggle with low self-esteem. Okay. Um, let's see, experience and education in and understanding, and let's see, and experience and education. You have extensive knowledge, experience, education, and understanding the underlying reasons why men struggle with low self-esteem. You are also highly educated in knowing, right, the specific let's see, you are also highly educated in knowing the specific differences between confidence and self-esteem. Okay, so what am I doing here? As best as possible, with the abilities that ChatGPT has in putting this together, or utilizing the information that it contains, I want it to do these things. And the answers that I'm going to get are going to pertain to this specific situation. If you've seen my other videos, go check out my other videos and you'll see more explanation in this. So knowing the specific differences between confidence and self-esteem. And the reason is because now I'm going to say, I want you to give me, right, in great detail, the difference between um, between low self-esteem and I want to say lack. I'm trying to think of lack of, or see, I want you to give me in great detail the difference between low self esteem and I'm just coming up with lack of confidence. Okay. So here I'm saying, I want you to give me in great detail the difference between low self esteem and lack of confidence and how this would show up in one's life. I want you to give me in great detail, I'm giving it instructions, the difference between low self esteem and lack of confidence, right? The difference between them. Low self esteem is this, and lack of confidence is this, and how this would show up in one's life. Please separate the two. Please separate the two in your explanation. Let's see. Explanation. All right, let's get that correct. Okay. So do you see what I'm doing? I want to know in great detail. I could have written, I want you to give me the difference between low self-esteem and lack of confidence and how this would show up in one's life. Please separate the two in your explanation. So let's see what this gives us. So once again, just it's doing its work right now. But I scrolled up because I want really to go into the instructions because this is so very important. The instructions in utilizing this tool as effectively as possible. Okay. So I gave it a persona. You could put in anything in there. Act as a life coach, act as a, you know, marriage counselor who specializes in self-esteem and personal development, especially for men. You have extensive knowledge, experience, education, and understanding the underlying reasons why men struggle, right? I specifically put men, not women, not children, not boys, why men struggle with low self-esteem. You're highly educated in knowing the specific differences between confidence and self-esteem, right? We're just talking about those two. I want you to give me in great detail. So let's see what happens here. The difference between low self-esteem and lack of confidence and how this shows up uh, in one's life. And that's important because I want you to see what happens with lack of confidence and what happens in low self-esteem. Okay, and so certainly let's dive deeply into the distinct concepts. I guarantee you that if I wouldn't have put in great detail, it wouldn't have said this right here, the distinct concepts of low self-esteem and lack of confidence, exploring their definitions, root causes, and manifestations in one's life. Boom, let's go. So low self-esteem. Self-esteem refers to the overall value and worth a person assigns to themselves. That's the most important thing. Assigns to themselves. You and you alone, not anybody else. You and you alone. Low self-esteem means having a negative self-view. I'm not good enough. I'm not handsome enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not blank. A negative view. That's a negative thing. I'm not this. I'm not that. That's a negative view, right? Low self-esteem, often characterized by feelings of inadequacy. I'm not good enough, unworthiness, or a persistent belief that one is fundamentally flawed, right? Childhood experiences, underlying causes. Let's look at this, right? Underlying causes, childhood experiences. Absolutely. I'm going to create another video specifically on this childhood experiences. I know of them very deeply. If you're not aware of, go and look up ACEs, as in ACE, ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. Look it up. We'll go into that later on. Being compared unfavorable to others or being told one is not good enough, right? As a child. Trauma, experiences like abuse, bullying, or other forms of maltreatment. Unrealistic expectations, setting impossible standards for oneself and feeling like a failure when they aren't meant, right? Chronic negative reinforcement, internalizing societal, familial, or peer messages that devalue one's worth, right? Underlying causes, right? Manifestations in life, relationships. This is a big one. I really hope you've made it this far in the video. Please share this with other men. If you're getting something out of this, please like, subscribe, and because I see this daily when it comes to relationships. Look at this here. Tendency to seek approval or validation from others, often to an unhealthy degree. Man, I could talk about this. I could talk about it every day for a month, if not more, on how people are seeking approval or validation. It's a worldwide issue. I mean, I can go into some things as far as what people are doing today to seek approval or validations from others. You should never, ever need any validation from anyone. Now, granted, right? We have an ego. We want to know we're doing a good job. We want to be recognized for our contributions. Now, look at what it says at the end. Often to an unhealthy degree, right? There is a healthy degree, which means, hey, we do want recognition. That's normal. We want the pats on the back. We want the good jobs because at the end of the day, we're still, people, but there is a healthy and an unhealthy degree to seeking approval and validation. Fear of rejection or abandonment leading to over-accommodating behavior or staying in toxic relationships. Wow, that's a huge one, right? That's another topic that we could go on. Fear of rejection or abandonment. Oftentimes when men are unable or unwilling to communicate with their partner, it comes from a lack of self-esteem. It has nothing to do with confidence. And in addition, it even comes with a lack of communication skills. But low self-esteem, right? Rejection. We want the validation. We're fear of rejection. And of course, it's a normal thing to have this fear of rejection, but it's when it controls you for inaction or staying in situations that are unhealthy, making decisions. This is a huge one. Once again, I want you to know the difference between low self-esteem and lack of confidence. And this right here, oftentimes men rack their minds, their brains in making decisions. I don't want to make a bad decision. I don't want to fail. I don't want to look bad. So they're afraid of making decisions because they're going to be wrong or judged. Low self-esteem, letting others control choices or to avoid conflict. Low self-esteem, career, hesitancy to pursue opportunities because of self-doubt. I'm not good enough. Look at mental health, mental and emotional health, persistent feelings of guilt, shame, or inadequacy, and general behavior, engaging in self-sabotaging behavior, right? Procrastinating, neglecting their health, friendships, these sorts of things, avoiding new experiences or challenges for fear of failure. When we have low self-esteem, we're not living an incredible life because of all these things. Fear of rejection. We want validation. We're staying in situations that aren't healthy for us. right? Now, let's look at lack of confidence. Confidence is in one's belief in their ability to perform a specific task or handle a particular situation. A lack of confidence pertains to uncertainty about one's skill, abilities, or knowledge in certain areas, even when self-esteem is intact. Look how important that is right there. So what this is saying is you can have self-esteem, but no confidence. Right there. Listen to this again. A lack of confidence pertains to uncertainty about skills, abilities, or knowledge in certain areas, even when self-esteem is intact. So oftentimes, men come to me because they want to be more confident. But in all reality, it's more about their self-esteem. So men are going after, how can I build confidence? How can I build confidence? When it's really about when you believe in yourself, when you don't need validation from no one, that you can feel great about yourself. And even though you have self-esteem, you can still lack confidence. But I would guess that 99% of men who come to me to help them build confidence, it's more about lack of self-esteem. Because confidence, as you can see here, it's about skills, abilities, and knowledge. Skills, which is another thing. Men lack a lot of skills. Young men lack a lot of skills that impact their lives. So let's go into that. Underlying causes, not having enough practice or exposure in a given area. Just like anybody, look at myself. When I first started doing public speaking, I was not confident in public speaking, but I had to get up and do it over and over again. I had to practice in order to get over that fear, but I was willing to. I had the self-esteem enough to put me in that situation, to give me, to grow the confidence to know that today I can speak to one person, 5 people, 10 people, 10,000 people, 10 million people. It doesn't matter. I have the confidence to do it. Why? Because I have the skill and the ability to do it. But it didn't come without struggle. It didn't come without, starting off at the bottom, right? Failure or negative outcomes. Experiencing failure in a specific domain can diminish confidence in that area, right? Like communicating with people, communicating and talking to women, right? That's a skill, but you have to be willing to do it. Harsh criticism or lack of encouragement can undermine confidence, right? Perfectionism, right? Fear of not meeting personal or external standards, right? Oftentimes we have these astronomical standards that, we watch these videos about these guys who are doing some incredible things, working out every single day. They've done it this and they don't do this and they do this and they do that. And it's like we all have access to different resources. We all have access to different things, different people, everything. So to compare yourself to somebody who has the financial resources, who has the support, who has different things that you don't have. Now, I'm not saying it's easy for them, but when they have that, because you still got to take action, you still got to do the things that you need to do. But when you're comparing yourself, you have these external standards. It's astronomical. That's right. When I work with men, they may have a list of 5 things they want to change. And it's like, let's start off with 1 or 2 things and build from there. Get your confidence up. Right? Manifestations in life. Look, I mentioned public speaking, presentations, or leadership roles because of fear of underperformance. It's right. Doubting one's ability in taking tasks, feeling hesitant or unsure in areas requiring technical expertise or mastery. Look at that. A new sport. Look at that. Learning a language. One of the things when you're learning a new language, it's like you're a baby again and you're learning these basic words. And as for an adult, that's difficult. You don't want to sound childish. You don't want to sound like a baby. But guess what? That's how you learn a new language. And that's okay. If it's that important for you to learn that language, like myself, I had to learn, I didn't have to. I wanted to learn a new language, but I had to put myself in situations where I knew that I was not going to be speaking correctly, and that I had to be willing to receive correction from other people. And that's difficult when you're wanting to speak, and it's difficult to put yourself out there and be willing to sound childish or sound, say something that's incorrect. But that's part of it. Reluctance to take calculated risks. It didn't say just risks, calculated risks in professional, personal settings, even when capable. Over preparing or under preparing for fear of failure. This is a huge one. People, they just want it to be perfect, and they never do anything. For example, my videos, right? Are they perfect? Could they be better? Are there people who are producing better videos? Perhaps, right? But I'm putting it out there. I want to help people. Is it going to be is it going to be perfect? Is it going to be, confusing, what have you? Certainly. Hesitating to start projects or ventures until everything is perfect. Like, this is lack of confidence, right? Lack of confidence. Now, let's see the key differences. This is awesome. Look at this. Low self-esteem about one's overall wealth or value. Right? When you feel bad about yourself, when you're not excelling in your life, low self-esteem. Lack of confidence is in your ability in that specific area. Yeah, I'm confident in not talking to women. I'm not confident in public speaking. I'm not confident in my driving skills. I'm not confident X. The root cause, deep-seated beliefs about yourself, your self-esteem, being in a relationship, approaching somebody, your job, your career. That's self-esteem. That's not confidence. It's lack of self-esteem. Once again, confidence, your skills, experience. I remember, I remember the first time I did a talk. A friend of mine challenged me to do this talk. And I believe it was too long. I think it was like 20, 30 minutes, I believe. Way too long. It was before I even knew anything about Toastmasters. And I remember I'm at the podium. I am nervous. I am literally sweating. My voice is stuttering. And all I can see is my friend in the back. He's like this. He's like smiling. He's like, because he knew, just keep going. Just keep going. Just finish this. Get it going. Yeah, do it. And I just remember looking at him. I'm sweating. I'm literally, I believe, dripping with sweat. I overdressed. I was hot. And my friend in the back, and I could see him in the back. He's like, he was enjoying it, because he's like, if he could just get through this, that's going to build his confidence. That's going to build him to do it again. And that's the thing, right? Build him up. And he knew that if I could just get through this talk, that's going to give me that little bit of confidence, that little bit of skill, that exposure to be in front of people. That's what he wants, right? That's what he wants. It's the same thing for boxers. When you have new boxers, when you're building your boxer up, you put him against people that, he gets to bounce around. He gets to work his jab. He gets to build that confidence. If you put him in with the guy who's just, has so much more exposure to the ring, so much more experience, he's never going to want to get back in the ring. But if you give him a chance to, move around and get some jabs in and some combinations and, take a couple of hits, but not too extreme. All right, man, you got it. Do you see that? You did it. You did that left hook. You did that straight right cross. Something you build his confidence up, right? So listen, um, I hope that you're beginning to see the difference between low self-esteem and lack of confidence, because I can almost guarantee you that right now you're realizing I have low self-esteem, and that's okay. So here he goes. Broad and pervasive across life domains. It's basically it's saying you have low self-esteem. It's going to affect every part of your life, every part of your life. Narrow and context specific. If you're wanting to get that promotion, but you know you're going to have to do more public speaking, or you're now going to be in a leadership role where you have to hire people and fire people, right? That's your lack of confidence. That's your lack of confidence because you've never done it before, right? Never done it before, but you can learn to do it. You can learn to do it. Emotional impact. Look at this. Persistent feelings of inadequacy or shame. This is huge because I want you to know the difference between lack of self-esteem and lack of confidence. And I'm guessing that you're going to begin to realize it's lack of esteem. It's lack of self-esteem, not your lack of confidence. Confidence comes from doing things over and over again. If you look at your own life and the things that, if I were to come and sit by you, hey, teach me something. And you'll be like, well, I don't really know. Well, what do you like? What do you do? I can teach you to drive. I would drive pretty good. Or I can teach you how to program. I'm pretty good. That's confidence because you have the experience. You have the ability. And that came from exposure. That came from doing the work. But with self-esteem, it affects every part of your life. Response to success. Success is often dismissed or luck or ignored. Right? Oh, I just got lucky. Oh, I was just in the right place at the right time. Lack of self-esteem. Success builds confidence quickly. This is why when I work with clients, it's building them up like that boxer, right? I'm not going to put him in there with the world champ as his first boxing match. No, we're going to build him up, build him up. So now, here we go. Low self-esteem. A man with low self-esteem might avoid relationships because he believes he is unworthy of love. He might not pursue career advancement because he feels fundamentally inadequate, even when he has the necessary qualifications. Right? Low self-esteem. Lack of confidence. A man lacking confidence in public speaking may feel anxious and avoid presentations at work. However, he might still feel secure in his worth as a person and excel in other areas such as relationships or physical fitness. Right? So, self-esteem, confidence. While self-esteem and lack of confidence are distinct, they can influence each other. Absolutely. For instance, a man with low self-esteem may struggle to build confidence in various areas because he undermines his own abilities. Where a man with high self-esteem but low confidence in a specific skill might gradually build confidence through practice without affecting his self-worth, right? He's willing to do the public speaking, and this is just an example, right? Think of anything where you need to take action, right? May do the public speaking, but I know, okay, I didn't do a good job the first time. Okay, I'm going to prepare. I'm going to do better the next time, and the next time, and the next time. My self-esteem allows me to be willing to put myself in those situations, and doing it builds my confidence, right? So here are some suggestions. Improving self-esteem, self-compassion. Of course, I teach this all the time is have compassion, man. Have compassion on yourself. Look, you're human, but if you're willing to take action, give yourself that credit, right? Challenging negative beliefs. There's verbal abuse, and I think we verbally abuse ourselves, speaking negatively about ourselves or to ourselves. We wouldn't tolerate that. Well, someone who has low self-esteem would tolerate verbal abuse, right? Let me repeat that. someone with low self-esteem will tolerate verbal abuse. Someone who has self-esteem, one, they're going to set that boundary to be like, hey, you don't talk to me that way. And two, they're not going to believe if someone wants to say something, hey, that's their belief. It ain't going to be affecting me, right? Therapeutic, engaging in CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, or other counseling approaches to unpack and rewire core beliefs, right? We talked about self-esteem and those things that can happen as a child, right? That's what it's talking there. Accomplishing small, achievable goals builds a sense of competence. This is, right? This is how I work with men, slowly building them up, having them develop certain skills, certain abilities to build their competence, build their self-efficacy, right? Surround yourself with supportive, positive influences, right? That's why this is the difference between, hey, you could get all this information from ChatGPT, but you still need support. You still need a coach. If all that was required to win football games, the coaches can say, hey, watch this video. I'll see you on game night, Saturday or Sunday night. Just watch this, see you on Saturday. No, you got to put the practice in. You got to put the time in, right? Surround yourself with positive, supportive people. You've got to build your team. Building confidence, start small. Start small. Take courses, practice, or seek mentorship in specific areas, right? There's coaching right there. Celebrate successes and use them to propel further growth. Visualization, you've got to see yourself being successful. You've got to see yourself as you would as a confident person. And learn from mistakes. I shared in another video where people get so defensive, which is a sign of low self-esteem. They're just unwilling to hear someone say something that would benefit themselves. Hey, man, I noticed that, when we're with other people, you're kind of being critical of them, like you're judging them, and like that's, no one's going to want to spend time with you if you're always, just being critical and judging people, like maybe that's something you want to think about, And if they were like, I don't care, then that's your problem. If they don't want to hang out with me, then that's their problem. It's like lack of self-esteem. And also lack of confidence, I would even put in there, because when you're confident, hey, tell me, man, if I'm doing something, I give you permission to give it to me straight, because I'm confident to listen to it. I'm confident to analyze it, and I'm confident and willing to be like, to look at a different angle and be, yeah, you know what? That's, I got to think about that. I'm willing to do that. So confidence, self-esteem. Let's finalize this. Understanding the difference between low self-esteem and lack of confidence is crucial for personal development. By addressing the underlying causes, right? Didn't really go much into that, but there are underlying causes and manifestations of each, why you have low self-esteem and why you lack confidence. Individuals can create targeted strategies for growth, leading to a more fulfilling and empowered life, because that's what it's all about, living an empowered life. Well, as I mentioned, this is a great tool to help you in getting information. But what this tool doesn't do is give you that support that can only come from another person. Whether you work with somebody like myself as a life coach, or you have somebody that you can work with, preferably not a friend, because there's that you could get support from a friend, but it's kind of one of those things, right? It's kind of a tricky. It can get tricky, if you will. But have somebody that can support you, that will encourage you, that will kind of point out some things to think about and help you along the way. So this is a great tool to use to learn some of these things. Go back to the video where you input information on who you want that sort of viewpoint from before you before you get an answer, right? Go back to the beginning of the video and check out how I wrote in order to get this sort of information. So once again, I'm Anthony Treyas from strongmencoaching.com. And until next time, stay strong.